Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. Yes, so today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 5th August 2021. These are the important articles relevant to our mains as well as prelims examination. First, we'll discuss in brief, take overview of all these articles, and then we'll discuss in detail one by one. First article, need of a goods and services tax version 2.0. Right, so here the context of this particular article on editorial page number 6, it is talking about the problems, or we can say faults, in the present goods and services tax GST regime, and we have to understand, analyze these problems. And the writer is saying that unless and until we bring some changes in this tax regime, indirect tax regime, it is not sustainable. So from GS2 paper, polity part, center state financial relations. GS2 paper, polity part, center state financial relations, also important for those who are having, let's say, public administration optional subject. For them also paper 2 very important. GS3 paper, economy also, so taxation system as a part of economy. Then moving on, next, learning in regional language. There is one article on page number 6 written by our vice president himself, and he is talking about the importance of learning, especially the higher education, in mother tongue or regional languages. So recently there are two important initiatives in this regard, and the context of that article is this one. So we have to understand the significance of learning in the regional language and what are the challenges and the way forward here. From human resource development or the governance, GS2 paper part, education, as well as we can use this in essay paper whenever the topic is relevant here. Moving on, need viable alternatives to stubble burning. On page number 2, city page, many of you may not be referring to Delhi edition. So let me tell you that there was one bill that was passed that was talking about the giving statutory status to the commission, which is let's say tasked with prevention and, let's say, reduction of the air pollution in Delhi and NCR region, surrounding region, and reducing the stubble burning issue. So from that context, this particular topic or article is written on page 2. It is talking about 3 important viable alternatives to stubble burning. So from environment section, air pollution part, we have to take input here. Then specifically prelims related development, Maiden indigenous aircraft carrier begins trials. So it is talking about INS Vikrant, which is going to be inducted into Indian Navy next year. It is expected that. So from defense technology and security part, we have to take input here. We have to also know the basic information about this INS Vikrant, its features. Okay, then Anaimalai flying frog. There is one article on page number 11, showcase page, and it is talking about conservation of Anaimalai flying frog by some conservationists. So it is actually critically endangered, let's say, frog species that becomes important for our examination. So whenever, let's say, any species having, let's say, endangered and critically endangered status, conservation status, that becomes relevant to our examination, prelims examination. So we'll know about this flying frog. Then there is one article which is saying that around 50% of MPLADS fund lapsed this year. So from that context, we have to know about MPLADS scheme, because last year in prelims examination there was question about MPLADS scheme. So yes, in future also from different ways it can be asked, because in last 1 year it has been in news. Finally, practice prelims MCQs on this current affairs. Yes, so first, a grand tax bargain in danger of coming apart. So the context we are talking about of this is the problems, the fault lines in the present GST structure regime. Let us understand what are the problems. 5 problems are enumerated, discussed in this particular article. So directly we can take input here, which are these 5 problems. Directly use them in your answers. Okay, first, political architecture which is asymmetrically loaded in favor of center. What is this? Yes, surely 1/3 voting powers we can give it is given to center and 2/3 to states, collective votes of states. So it was being considered as a very important, let's say, way forward, a step towards cooperative federalism, giving more voice to the states. However, there is inherent, let's say, drawback here, that this 2/3 voting rights basically are given to all states with equal voting rights to all states, irrespective of its size, population size, or even its contribution to the GDP, even if its contribution to GDP and revenue generation. Okay, and this becomes the problem, because whatever the, let's say, votes are given, suppose the smaller states are giving the votes in the favor of the central government decision, then what happens? The problem is for the states which are actually contributing in terms of GDP and revenue. They are concerned here. Okay, and therefore whatever the decisions are taken, to some extent they become problematic to those states. Okay, so this is actually the major concern in the political architecture. Okay, so equal voting rights to all states without, let's say, considering the size and the revenue generation contribution to the GDP. Fine. Second, the design flaws in the tax structure. The design flaws, it is talking about let's say the different slabs which are provided. Then it is also talking about exclusion of many goods and services out of GST structure even at present, and therefore we can say that there are many flaws in the design structure also. Okay, so you should understand here, like exclusion of petroleum and petroleum products. This is becoming the major aspect. We will separately discuss this, but this design flaw is becoming the problem. The multiple structure. Okay, so this is the problem here. The multiple structures which are different slabs, the, let's say, experience in the other countries shows that when there is only one slab, then one or maximum two slab, then only GST has been successful. At present there are different 4 slabs, and this is becoming problem here. Okay, differential rates of taxation to different goods. Then exemption from the registration and taxation of the GST. Now these exemptions from the registration and taxation, especially we can say majority of the MSME sector, okay, or we can say retail sector, including MSME sector and retail sector, it largely remains outside. There are many exemptions given to the, let's say, on the basis of turnover, or we can say that registration to these enterprises, retail enterprises we can say, they have been provided, and this affects the revenue generation through GST. Revenue generation through GST. So basically it is talking about the requirement of widening the tax base. We have understood in previous lectures about tax base. Okay, tax base can be widened by bringing more and more, let's say, tax paying entities into the tax structure. Okay, that is called as widening the tax base. And at present, when such exemptions from taxation of the GST are given, so that becomes, we can say, obstacle to widening the tax base. Then exclusion of petroleum products. Now this is becoming the major concern here. We have to understand that on petroleum products there are cess levied by the central government, as well as there is central excise duty. Central excise duty. Okay, so these are the 2 important taxes levied by central government. You should understand that whatever the cess that is collected, this remains the part of revenue of the central government. But this part of revenue is shared between center and state. Now what center is doing is it is increasing the amount of cess levied on the petroleum products, while simultaneously it is reducing the central excise duty. So because of that, what is happening? The revenue that is to be shared with the states is reducing, and its own revenue through cess is increasing. This particular revenue is not to be shared with the states. Okay, so this is major concern, and that's why now states surely wants to bring this under GST, petroleum products. Okay, so this is going to be the next important reform in the design structure of GST. Okay, so what is the problem? The cess amount is increasing and central excise duty is decreasing. Okay, so shareable amount to the states is reducing, while the central government revenue is increasing. And finally, the compliance with GST return GSTR1 filing stipulation and resultant tax information is not up to date. So this there is gap between, let's say, filing stipulation and resultant tax information from this GST returns. So because of that, what we are observing is tax evasion is very common. Tax evasion and tax avoidance. Okay, so this is also those who are paying the tax avoidance is there, and many of them are evading the tax also. So tax compliance, or we can say revenue generation from this GST has some kind of limitation because of these structural problems. Okay, so you should remember these 5 points whenever the question is there. For example, for effective GST system, policy gaps along with compliance gaps do need to be addressed. Examine policy gaps. You can see here first two: political architecture, design flaws, exemption, and compliance in terms of implementation. The implementation should also be effective. This is the major aspect you should understand, right? So yes, any question here? Okay, now moving on to next article, a language ladder for education roadblock. Now the context of this particular article, it is talking about recent developments on imparting education in regional languages. There are two developments in recent times. 14 colleges across 8 states. Okay, 14 engineering colleges across 8 states agreed to provide education, or we can say degree education in regional languages from new academic year. This is first one. Second, recently AICTE, All India Council of Technical Education, okay, so AICTE, so this has given approval to 11, we can say, such approved BTech degrees that can be given in 11 languages, regional languages. 11 regional languages. Okay, so it is in line with the policy objectives of new education or national education policy NAP 2020, which recently we can say the 1 year completion of this policy was celebrated. This is good development. Both are good development in terms of imparting education in regional languages. Okay, so context of this article written by our Vice President is this one. Let us understand the significance of this. Learning in mother tongue is germane to building self-esteem, self-identity, and as also the overall development of child. So at present what we are witnessing is there is some kind of, let's say, psychological aspect in minds of parents to imparting the education only in English language. They consider it as a superior education. At the same time, there is overall also the academic system is so designed, education system is so designed which gives preference to English over regional languages. And because of that, what is becoming problem is, let's say, majority of the students still, we can say that coming from the rural areas, they do not have, or they are not able to cope up with this kind of education system. Though they are proficient in their regional languages, mother tongues, but they are not able to cope up with this English language education. At the same time, it is well proved, well established fact all over the world that the early education, elementary education, when it is given in the mother tongue, that gives, let's say, that improves the ability of the child further to receive the education in other languages. Okay, so this is very important, and our new National Education Policy 2020 emphasizes on providing early education in mother tongue. Providing early education in the mother tongue so as to have more, let's say, results in terms of educational outcomes. So it provides self-esteem, self-identity. So what happens, suppose there is, let's say, suppose one child, or we can say one student is taking the education in the mother tongue up to 10th standard, okay, or 12th standard, and then immediately entering into the let's say college education for the in the English language. Okay, suppose entering into the BTech, and then we can say that the degree in the engineering and the complete curriculum is in English language. So what happens that let's say the person or the student is not able to have, let's say, self-esteem, self-identity, even though that person or the student is having very good knowledge, very good conceptual understanding. Okay, that means even though that child is having good aptitude, because of educational system, we are not allowed him to flourish here. Okay, so self-esteem, self-identity and overall development of the child, so this is being denied. Okay. Next aspect we have to understand also global practices. Very important, let's say some of the Asian examples, South Korea, Japan, China, majority of the education system is in their, let's say, regional languages. Okay, so if we are talking about as a Hindi language in India, majority population speaking, there we can say Korean language, Japanese language, Mandarin in China, their languages. So in that language or regional languages in those countries, the education is provided. Okay, even at the higher education level, The best example you can give is France and Germany. In France, even the postdoctorate, or we can say education or PhDs and let's say post graduation, that is also provided in the German language largely. Even in France, it is, let's say, compulsory by the France government to provide education in French language up to 3rd standard. Okay, so such kind of measures are taken there in those countries. So then why not in India? They have been successful. Okay, but why not in India? This is actually the question here. Now, the biggest bottleneck is lack of high quality textbooks. We can understand this is the major problem here. In the regional languages, there is no good quality reference material, text materials or textbooks, and because of that, it obstructs the let's say opting for particular, let's say, course in a regional language. If you know about this, why we do not opt for any, let's say, particular course in a regional language, even if it is available in certain universities, this is the major problem. And when we are able to develop this in the regional languages, quality text materials or reference books, then maybe the students will come forward to opt for that. So such kind of major, very good initiative taken by AICTE in collaboration with IIT Madras to translate SWAYAM's courses in 8 regional languages. You should mention this whenever the question is related to this issue. Swayam is a such portal that we have, online portal, which provides from 9th standard to post graduation level education online, and it also provides degrees, okay, distance education. So on that platform, English language was at the start was a major focus, but now in, let's say, it is going to also provide, or we can say whatever the courses are there, they are going to be converted into regional language also. So IIT Madras and AICT is collaborating on this. Fine. So in this manner, you should talk about, whenever we are talking about the education system, add this one more aspect in your essay topic. Okay, while writing the essay, whenever we talk about the education system, or what are the problems in India. So education in the mother tongue or regional languages, this is a very important issue, and our NEP 2020 also focuses or emphasizes on this. So education in mother tongue, benefits and challenges. Either there can be direct essay topic, specific essay topic, or there can be indirect mention by yourself as this particular issue in essay topic related to education. Yes, any question here? Yes.
So basically, for development of any course, we need to take it from nursery to minimum 10 plus 12. We need to take as a local language development. Then how is it possible to take directly graduation in local language? How is it going to be developing in way of forward? Present days, every state, what I observed, below 2000 years. It's a good academic year to every subject, BA and history, sociology, whatever the subject, in local language. After 2000 year onwards, it's a completely, no one has been have the funds to university to develop the local language as well as the professor recruitment. On that time onwards, the students are not able to going to join the courses, and that time onwards, that all local language courses are going to be decaying, and continuously present there is no college under any towns present local language. Then how we can able to take it forward after directly taking up the AICT local language courses?
Yes, this is the dilemma. This is the dilemma that we are facing. You know, at present the schools are teaching, some of the schools are teaching up to 5th standard in the local language, in the mother tongue, and then immediately student is, let's say, having introduction to English language. After 10th standard, okay, the continuation is in English language, suppose 11th, 12th, or suppose the student wants to take the education in arts language and in the mother tongue. So suddenly again introduced in the regional language, because the much of the literature, suppose the student wants to enter into regional, let's say, literature, opt for that particular kind of course, then the good material is available in the let's say that particular language. Suddenly the language change is happening. Okay, so this is the common problem to all states. This is not the problem here. What we have to understand, first of all, the child's aptitude, the potential to develop is largely realized in the elementary education or primary education. Okay, so his, let's say, reading skills or arithmetic skills, they are well developed in the primary education itself. When that is given in the mother tongue or regional language, maximum output can be there in future curriculum. Okay, so this is actually the focus. At the same time, those students who are completing the education up to 10 plus 12 in regional languages, for those students the opportunity should be there for graduation and post graduation in regional language. This should be the continuity. Okay, suddenly there should not be language change. This is actually denial of opportunity. Okay, denial of opportunity to realize their true potential. Okay.
Because of main reason, so whatever the priority of arts group, they are not able to maintain the past 20 years onwards, they are not able to maintain. Because of only technical development has been concentrated past 20 years. That is the major drawback to decaying of this arts group of courses in the over the country.
Yes, we can understand that the focus is on technical education, engineering and MBA courses. Okay, so yes, we can understand that, and that's why even in those areas now the government wants to promote the regional languages. BTech courses, BE courses and different courses are being provided in mother languages, or we can say mother tongue and regional languages. Okay, so maybe this is going to be the game changer for those belonging to rural background. Okay, so aptitude is something that is coming inborn. Okay, and denial of opportunity is creating inequality. Okay, in rural areas also talented students are there, but because of denial of opportunity their development is not happening. So basically we are actually opening the Pandora of let's say opportunities through these initiatives here. Fine. Okay, now yes, stubble burning issue in Punjab, Haryana and western UP region, and this is actually the yearly phenomenon where we observe air pollution in Delhi and NCR region during months of October and November. So three main solutions to stubble burning. You should be aware, you should write this in your answers as a way forward. There can be question in GS1 geography part, there can be question in GS3 environment part, air pollution. Okay, because this relates to agriculture also, stubble burning, what are the issues, and at the same time it relates to air pollution environment part also. Now first one is in situ treatment of stubble. This is very important. Yes, whatever the stubble that is being generated, largely the kharif crop that is taken in Punjab and Haryana, that is rice crop, and it let's say leads to creation of large amount of stubbles, and that is being let's say burned by the farmers, because within 14 to 15 days wheat cultivation during Rabi season is to be done. So small window is available to the farmers, that's why they burn the stubble. Now instead of burning, in situ treatment of stubble through mulching. Okay, mulching, it is given in NCRT, geography NCRT up to 10th standard, in one of the NCRT it is given. Mulching is the process where this stubble is spread on the ground after treatment of the land, and this actually acts as a let's say moisture conservation measure, moisture and soil conservation measure. Okay, so this straw can be removed and can be sprayed on the let's say field itself. So this mulching process is very good in situ treatment, but at present let's say the financial incentives are not given, or equipments to buy these equipments which are used for in situ treatment. So for that purpose the government needs to come forward and provide the let's say credit, some kind of let's say interest subsidies to buy these equipments on the loan basis by the farmers. So this is the way forward. Then ex situ treatment, that means removing that stubble, and that should be collected by let's say some enterprises or those on the commercial basis, that should be bought from the farmers. This will act as a let's say avenue for the farmers to remove that instead of burning. Burning is wastage. When we are saying that the farmers remove that stubble, we will provide you 1000 rupees. Okay, so that will act as a let's say incentive, and that removed stubble can be used for not incineration, rather we can say there are husk gasifiers technology. There are gasifiers. From this we can let's say first thing can produce energy, electricity. Second thing, you should be also aware that they can be used in brick kilns. Okay, brick kilns, and then they can be also used in the coal powered thermal power plants. Okay, so basically they should be provided incentives to remove that stubble and to be sold in different areas. Then changing cropping pattern, this is long term and sustainable solution. Long term and sustainable solution. So what happens at present, there is small window and their window of time to sow for the wheat cultivation immediately in Rabi season, and therefore this is becoming problem. So instead of let's say wheat, if let's say suppose other crop is grown, or instead of rice suppose other crop is grown, then there will be sufficiently large amount of window available, and that will help the farmers to remove the stubble, that will have the appropriate time available to them. Okay, so cropping pattern, changing cropping pattern is major aspect. At present, the wheat rice system is becoming the problem. Okay, at the same time, it is being also said that the kind of window that is available, 14 to 15 days, that can be increased. That can be increased. How the rice varieties should be developed in a such manner that the total amount of let's say time period of crop cycle should be reduced. So lower crop cycle varieties of rice should be produced, and therefore harvesting will be earlier, and it will increase the time period available with the farmers. Such kind of solutions should be given as a long term solutions. Okay, fine.
Sir?
Yes.
So, by using of this rice grass, we have in golden days, we are going to be using for transportation, whatever the dedicated equipment, like a gas type of manufacturing equipment, we are going to be putting a support to our grass material to avoid the damages of transportation. And nowadays, they are going to be deliberately depleting the corporate companies, whatever the possible courier of the corporate companies, they are not able to using the grass by using of the supporting of dedicated equipment. And some cultivated universities also, they are not able to take the charge to converting of the grass to by adding of them as a natural fertilizer. Why don't have the not able to implementing of these two channels of converting of the
we are trying PUSA decomposer developed by PUSA University in Delhi, and this is let's say a very good measure. Some of the tablets which are when they are spread by including water, that will act as a fertilizer directly as an input. Okay, that will decompose and that will act as a fertilizer. You can mention that also, PUSA decomposer there. Okay, so at present that should act as an incentive. That means PUSA decomposer, those that input should be made available to the farmers free of cost, and this is recently demonstrated. Even Delhi Chief Minister has himself seen that demonstration, and this is good idea actually. That should be implemented on the wider scale. But we can say that is at present not followed by the government. Rather, the government is still working on the let's say cooperation between center state and states, and the punishment aspect is rather focused rather than providing incentives to the farmers. Okay, so it should be other way around. It should be other way around. Fine? Okay. Yes. Moving on to next article, it is talking about INS Vikrant trials, Maiden indigenous aircraft carrier begin trials. It is going to be called INS Vikrant, and it may join next year Indian Navy. It is being produced by Cochin Shipyard Limited. Okay, government PSU, public sector undertakings, Cochin Shipyard Limited. At present, there is only one aircraft carrier in Indian Navy, INS Vikramaditya. So both starts with the name V. Okay, Vikramaditya, Vikrant. Vikramaditya is not indigenous, it is imported. Okay, so INS Vikrant is going to be the indigenous aircraft carrier. Now, let us understand the features. Okay, so important features, it can carry about 30 assorted aircraft including fighter jets and helicopters at the top speed of 28 knots and cruising speed of 18 knots with an endurance of 7,500 nautical miles. So it has let's say length of 262 meter long and has over 2,300 compartments for a living purpose. Okay, so state of the art weapons systems, communication systems, high-end technologies are installed on it. So technology demonstration along with let's say all the military purpose, those demonstration trials are going to be done for 1 year and then it will be inducted. It is going to give fillip to sea control capabilities of Indian Navy in Indian Ocean region, which is becoming more and more important let's say area of geostrategic significance. Okay, so that's why it will increase our naval capabilities to have control and oversight in this Indian Ocean region. Fine. So INS Vikrant, this can be asked in the prelims examination. Now, Anaimalai flying frog. Anaimalai flying frog. Why it is important? IUCN conservation status critically endangered. So whenever any species we are talking, 4 aspects important. First, its name and scientific name. Second, its habitat. Okay, so specific habitat may be there. Third thing, you should understand the conservation status, and fourth, threats to it. Okay, threats to that species. So these 4 things you should always keep in mind. The statements in the examination will revolve around it. Yes. So also known as Malabar, false Malabar gliding frog or false Malabar tree frog. Scientific name, so Rhacophorus pseudo-malabaricus. This is the scientific name, and it is endemic to tropical evergreen forest of Anaimalai hills in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Okay, so IUCN status is critically endangered. Threats: habitat loss due to clearing of land for cardamom plantations and timber harvesting in this Anaimalai hills. Cardamom plantations, this is becoming the major threat there because of this cardamom plantation, and at the same time locals consider this frog as, let's say, not good omen, and therefore they kill the frog. This is major aspect. Second thing, that the plantation owners, they actually consider that these frogs eat this cardamom fruits. Okay, and because of that it is becoming lost, and therefore they give some incentives to kill those frogs by the locals. Actually this is wrong information, misinformation, and therefore locals needs to be educated for this purpose. Okay, so threats you should be aware: cardamom plantations in this Anaimalai hills. Fine. So this can be asked in prelims examination. Now, 50% funds allotted for ongoing MPLADS projects lapse. Okay, so there was question in prelims examination last year about MPLADS scheme. What was that question? First of all, let us know about this. See, this was the question statement. With reference to funds under MPLAD, which of the following statement is correct? MPLAD funds must be used to create durable assets like physical infrastructure for health, education, etc. Then a specified portion of each MP's fund must be benefiting SC and ST population. Then MPLAD funds are sanctioned on the yearly basis, and unused funds cannot be carried forward to the next year. And district authority must inspect at least 10% of all works under implementation every year. These are the statements. We will come to this question again, but let us know about this fund in detail. So yes, each and every MP is granted 5 crore rupees under the scheme. So total about 790 MPs receive 5 crore each year under this scheme. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is the nodal department or ministry responsible for policy formulation and release of funds. Remember this, under which ministry the scheme is implemented? Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. District authorities are responsible for work scrutiny, cost estimation, identification and implementation agency, and transfer of funds. So district authorities are play major role here in terms of transfer of funds and work scrutiny, that is oversight, inspection. All these things are done by the district authorities. Then other important things, the funds are non-lapsable. That means each year they can be, let's say, carried forward to the next year. Okay, if they are remaining unused. Then also MPs should recommend work annually. And on annual basis the recommendation of the work is done. At least 15% of the MPLAD entitlements for the area inhabited by the SC population and 7.5% for the ST population. Dedicated fund should go to SC/ST community. Okay, that nominated members of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha can recommend works anywhere in the country, while those elected from particular constituency in Lok Sabha, they should be let's say working in that constituency only, and those elected from particular state in Rajya Sabha, they can take any district from that state only. Okay, and then the government of India releases an annual entitlement of 5 crore in 2 equal installments. Okay, in 2 equal installments, the money is given to district authorities under this scheme. This amount is given to district authority of the nodal district selected by concerned MP. Okay, so fund transfer is from district authorities. Now let us have a look at this question. So a specified portion of each MP's fund must benefit. This is correct, right? This is correct. MPLAD funds are sanctioned on yearly basis and unused funds cannot be carried forward. Cannot be carried forward, but it can be carried forward. This is incorrect statement, right? And district authorities must inspect at least 10% of all works. So it is talking about inspection. Just now we said that district authorities are responsible for inspection. This is correct. Now when 2 and 4 are correct, you can see at the options. 2 and 4 correct. There is only one option which talks about this. 1, 2, 4. Also there is one technique. When we say that 3 is wrong, remove the options where 3 is there. So remains 1, so A and D only. So just now we got that 4 is correct, so that's why we have marked. Even if we do not know about this durable asset, we can mark this as correct. This is how the elimination method is used to solve the MCQs. Is this correct? Okay. Oh, now moving on. Yes, what should be the question to this? Sorry, answer to this question?
C, sir.
Yes?
C for Charlie.
C for? Yes. 1 and 3. Okay. Yes, other students? Okay. Yes. So about flying frog, Anaimalai flying frog, it is endemic to in the tropical evergreen forest of, yes, it is correct. IUCN conservation status is endangered species. This is incorrect. It is critically endangered species. Actually, there can be the confusion created in the statement by UPSC. So the main threat to the species is habitat loss due to cardamom plantation. This is correct, right? So 1 and 3, yes, C is correct answer. Fine. So remember this information about Anaimalai flying frog. Yes, you are saying as A option answer to this question. You are saying.
So, yes, sir, I have one concern myself.
Yes, tell me.
As you have told, the technique is right, sir, and the option 4 is also right, sir. But what about if in the question if I'm facing a problem with the option 4, sir, and not option 4, the information number 4, and I'm in a dilemma about option number A and option number B, sir. When I'm not sure about option 4, whether it's right or not. And
The district authority, yes, you are not sure about this. District authority must inspect at least 10% of all work.
if I'm not aware of it,
Okay, so there could have been confusion here. In examination hall, there could have been confusion here.
true, sir, true, yes, sir. So how to address this? It's not
Yes.
always that you cannot remember the specific information. People read MPLADS, but we have only come
Yes.
history, then history, history of a percentage, or DA or possibly, but that 10% we may not remember, sir.
Yes, what logic we can use here? What logic we can use here? Actually, you know, at least 10% work. There could have, let's say, you know, the district authorities, which are now nodal authorities, we can say in terms of, we know about the fund transfer. Surely the district authorities are responsible for the fund transfer. This is common knowledge about MPLADS. Now, when we know about that, there should be some kind of authority to, let's say, inspection purpose also, scrutiny purpose also. Otherwise, what would happen? The fund transfer will happen, and whether the, let's say, project is implemented or not, who is going to, let's say, look at that part also? Okay, so if we use that kind of logic, and if we are talking about, let's say, at least 10% of all work, so that kind of authority we can expect that at the cutting edge level, district administration level, that could have been provided. Again, we can understand this is in-depth knowledge about this MPLAD scheme, which is again not available even on the Google in general if we search about it. But yes, what we have found is this information. District authorities are responsible for work scrutiny, cost estimation, identification of the implementing agencies, and transfer of fund. From this we can use logic. Fine?
One more session for this. In a lot of cases, we often come up to two options, we eliminate, two options remain, and we have always been dilemma. And as I said, logic works, sometimes logic doesn't work. So, combination of the commodity, we see how to go about it. Generally, these are this what I know questions for product, 30% or 20% of the given code number in the exam form.
Yes.
So, should we always go with the option that we find suitable or any other suggestions?
Yes, yes. How to overcome this problem? Increasing number of questions are there when we always get confused between two options, and these type of questions, the number of these type of questions are increasing in recent times, looking at the trend in prelims examination. To overcome this dilemma, first thing is surely what we can do is improve our preparation levels and bring more clarity in the information that we have. Okay, first thing, if we are not, let's say, that much having information, clear information, there will be confusion between two options. And overcoming that confusion, again, let me tell you that taking risk is very important component of your prelims examination. If we are not able to take the calculated risk, we will not be able to compete with other students here, because everyone is taking calculated risk, and that's why the cutoff is increasing. Okay, some students that may go wrong, for some students it is becoming right. So among the, let's say, risk taking areas or those questions, you need to decide which are the strong areas of your preparation. Suppose you may have geography as a subject very strong for you, or suppose, let's say, polity is very strong, or economy is very strong. In those areas you take your risk. Okay, in other areas you can skip those questions, right? This can be the approach. This is actually the planning level. At planning level itself you should go for this kind of approach. Fine? Okay, so any other, let's say, question you have? Otherwise we can stop. Fine, then we'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.